Hey there guys, it's Kills for Food, and I'm sure you guys thought I dropped off the face of the planet and died in some horrible accident that involved a lot of contusions, contortions, and death. But I'm here to confirm that I'm still very much alive, happily or sadly, depending on your standpoint of the situation. And I would just like to say I'm bringing you Chapter 3 of The Quest for the Diamond Sword. It seems to be fairly popular, and I've gotten a number of subscribers increased in the past 2 months, and I haven't uploaded a video since August, so that really says something, and I'm glad you guys are supporting me even in my absence. There's been a lot of marching band going on, and there will continue to be a lot of marching band going on as our football game is going to the finals, and we have a lot of marching bandy stuff going on. But without further ado, I bring you The Quest for the Diamond Sword, Chapter 3. Chapter 3, Down the Hole. Steve drifted weightlessly until he landed in the red landscape of the Nether. Filled with lava pools, the Nether didn't track time with day and night like the overworld. Steve looked at his compass to find his direction, only to see the needle on the compass go in circles. Compasses and clocks were useless in the Nether. As he adjusted to the crimson glow from the Nether, Steve cautiously explored his new landscape. This was unlike any place Steve had ever been, and his eyes had to adjust to the new lighting. The Nether was dangerous, but it was also filled with many useful resources. Mushrooms sprouted from the ground, and Steve saw a lava pool in the distance. Steve leaned over to pick a mushroom and knew that the fermented spider eye he had from the jockey spider mixed with sugar could create a potion. Before he could grab his first mushroom, he heard the high-pitched sounds of a ghast. Its white, boxy body with tentacles floated by with its eyes closed. Alright, I'm sure this isn't something you guys want to hear right now, but I'm going to go ahead and add a new segment into these things because as you've been listening, I'm sure you've noticed some things are kind of off with this book, and so this new segment is going to be called Reader's Critique. And Reader's Critique is where I, the reader, Kills for Food, critique the book The Quest for the Diamond Sword, written by Winter Morgan under the pen name of many different submissions. Now, I don't know who the hell's submitting these submissions, but they really need to check their game, alright? Anybody in Minecraft knows how to make potions, and I'm glad Steve does. But Steve is a virgin to everything, and anybody in Minecraft should not be a virgin to anything because all the elements should be exposed, including the Nether. Steve is probably going to die a virgin in the Nether, and I have my fingers crossed that he does. Steve quickly surveyed the area for a good hiding place. Stepping too close to the lava pool would kill him, and there were no trees to hide behind or scary caves to provide shelter as the ghast passed Steve. Ghasts had limited vision and couldn't see him if he hid behind some leaves or glass, but there was nothing in sight. Another option was going back through the portal, but then he'd have to face the armored zombie. Also, he couldn't go back to the village until he had a plan to save Avery the librarian, the other villagers, and himself. He tried to remain quiet, hoping the ghast would float by, but it was too late. The ghast saw Steve, opened its demonic red eyes, and readied itself for an attack. The ghast looked like a jellyfish with white tentacles sprouting from its underbelly. It made a chirping noise signaling it was attacking. Without armor or a sword, Steve was defenseless and had no way to shield the attack. The ghast's cavernous mouth opened wide as a red-hot fireball emerged. The flames glistened as the fireball rushed through the breezy nether sky. Steve didn't have time to dodge the fiery mess. With a single throw of his fists, he hit the fireball and redirected it towards the ghast. The ghast let out a pained wail as it exploded. Alright, Reader's Critique again. So, I don't know if you guys, you obviously play Minecraft, what am I saying? But these mobs seem a little too easy to kill. And I get that it's fiction. But, let's be realistic here. We all know you can't punch a fire charge. And we all know one of them is not going to kill a ghast. alright? And I find it really strange that the minute Steve walks into the nether, he finds a ghast. But I'm still looking for a ghast, and I've probably found girlfriends more than I do ghasts. Steve made his way through the nether and walked past a lava waterfall until he came to a patch of soul sand. While collecting the blocks of sand, he could see a nether fortress in the distance past a large field of lava. Suddenly, Steve had an idea. Diamonds could be found in another fortress. If Steve attained diamonds, he could craft a powerful diamond sword to attack the armored zombies. I will use 40 diamonds, Steve said, although he was alone and had nobody to talk to. He missed his conversations with Elliot the blacksmith, and it comforted him to simply hear the words out loud, even if nobody was listening. Readers critique again. I personally don't know, but I'm pretty sure that if you could make a diamond sword out of 40 diamonds, and it was so powerful... Okay, look, scratch that. If it takes a diamond sword that takes 40 diamonds to make, which is non-existent in Minecraft, to kill an armored zombie who only has an iron helmet on, you might want to rethink your game, brah. You want to get your head back in the game. If I had some play charts, I'd be really showing you right now, drawing some circles and X's and arrows that pointed to other X's and circles, but I don't. Steve, you really got to get your shit together, man. He paused, and while great hope, he exclaimed, "And with those diamonds, I will make the most powerful sword in the world. I will use it to slay that armored zombie and help the villagers." "Diamonds?" a voice called out, and Steve realized he wasn't alone. "Who are you?" asked Steve. "I'm Jack," the voice replied, and he came out from behind blocks. He wore blue diamond armor. "Wow, you have diamond armor?" Steve was impressed. He was also wary of the stranger. He could be a griefer, but Steve was lonely and wanted company. "If you give me an iron ingot, I can teach you how to travel in the void," said Jack. The void was an area in the nether that had no hostile mobs. Steve had heard that it was a safe way to travel through this scary land. "For just one iron ingot?" Steve was shocked. That was a small request for such an enormous task. "Yes," Jack said as Steve gave him the ingot. Suddenly, Jack took out a diamond sword and leapt toward Steve. Steve jumped away. "I want everything in your inventory," demanded Jack. "Now!" The blue sword glistened in the dark red nether. Steve sprinted toward a lava pool, but he couldn't escape. It was either drown in hot lava or be destroyed by Jack's sword. Suddenly, Jack and Steve heard a chirping sound. It was a ghast. It fired at them. Jack ran to avoid the flame, accidentally pushing Steve away, and Jack tripped into a pool of lava. Steve wanted to grab the diamond sword from Jack the Griefer, but was too late, and it was already covered in lava. To even reach for the tip of the handle could result in Steve being burned or destroyed. He also didn't have time to get it since he had a ghast attacking him. I mean, you know, come on, guys. Steve quickly exchanged his sword for a bow and arrow, and with one hit, he knocked out the ghast. "Gotcha!" Steve shouted as the ghast was destroyed. Then he looked around nervously, remembering the last time he had shouted out loud, which was about 2.5 minutes ago. He was scared another griefer would come, and he needed to be prepared. Steve had encountered his first griefer and had walked away alive. With the victories over the ghasts, he was beginning to feel confident as he walked across a nether bridge over a sea of lava. He passed enormous columns made of nether brick that seemed to stretch as far as the sky. Small fires burned on the ground, and he jumped to avoid them. He paid close attention to the ground beneath his feet, because he never knew what he might encounter in the nether. He made his way toward the nether fortress and was hopeful that he could find diamonds and save his friends. As he jumped over a small pool of lava, a zombie pigman leapt out, ready to attack Steve. The pink pig with a box-shaped head and rotting flesh was armed with a sword and in attack mode. "I can't seem to shake zombies," Steve thought as he deftly built a 3-brick wall to shield him from the zombie pigmen. Then he jumped up high and knocked the zombie pigman to the ground. Alright, usually I'm not going to stop mid-paragraph to do these things, but I just want to address this. I can't jump higher than 2 blocks in Minecraft. What the hell is Steve on? Alright, this is some good something, because that's 4 blocks. and then he just like punched the shit out of the zombie pigman or something. It jumped up high and knocked the zombie pigman to the ground. I mean, I can't do that. I also just can't pull a bow out of my ass and shoot a ghast, even though I had no idea what to do when the last one showed up. And that's two. That's two in a row. Alright? 2 in a row before he saw a zombie pigman. I'm calling hacks, bruh. This attack spawned a group of zombie pigmen, all ready to attack Steve. Using cobblestone blocks, he constructed a booth with 4 walls and mined a hole in the bottom of the booth. He used the blocks to strike the zombie pigmen. As each zombie was defeated, it dropped iron ingots. Steve quickly collected the ingots and crafted them into a sword. Trouting his new sword, Steve made his escape toward the nether fortress to find his diamonds. Flying above the fortress and aiming for Steve was a blaze. Its yellow body and black eyes flew above the fortress and shot at Steve as it guarded the majestic fortress made of nether block. Steve grabbed another block to shield himself from the fiery blows the blaze was unleashing on him. The blaze spawned. 2 more blazes appeared. Both fired at him. The flames landed incredibly close to his body, almost burning his new gold sword. This chapter's got all kinds of flaws in it. Steve just picked up iron ingots and made them into a sword, but now he has a gold sword. Zombie pigmen don't drop iron ingots. Let's come on guys. Head in the game. Alright, there it is. A blaze dropped a blaze rod by his feet. Steve picked it up, knowing it was helpful when brewing potions. Steve barely missed another blast. He knew the only way to survive this clash with the blazes was to craft an enchanted golden apple. He had been planning on crafting an enchanted golden apple when he returned to the village to cure Elliot the blacksmith, but he had to use it now. Enchanted golden apples also had the power to shield people from fire for 5 minutes, and at that moment Steve was being blasted with heat. Enchanted golden apples were expensive to craft, but as flames flew at Steve's body, it was his only option. Steve crafted an enchanted golden apple with gold blocks and an apple from his inventory. Then he ate it all in one bite, saved from the fire for 5 minutes. It was a race against the clock as he battled the 3 blazes that were now standing in front of the fortress. Their power was diminished due to the enchanted golden apple, but they were still skilled as they tried to smash Steve to the ground. Steve unleashing his mighty iron sword and destroyed the blazes, collecting the points and blazes dropped after he defeated them. With the glow of victory, Steve entered the grand fortress. It's iron now. The sword is iron now. The fortress walls were decorated with glowstone blocks. The yellow light emanating from the slabs seemed to reflect off the nether blocks and light the room. The ambience gave the fortress a feeling of being both grand and cozy. Steve had never seen anything so beautiful. He quickly eyed for any blazes that might be spawning in the fortress, but he didn't see any around. He knew Ghast couldn't survive in another fortress because Ghast couldn't survive in enclosed places, and the buildings were made of materials that could withstand a gas blast. This enabled Steve to relax and soak in the awesomeness of the grand fortress. In the center of an interior room, Steve saw an enormous staircase made of nether bricks with soul sand, and nether wart was growing on the ground on both sides of the staircase. Steve walked down the staircase and reached over to pick up the nether wart, which was an essential ingredient to have when making potions. As he reached to pick up with his first batch, a blaze emerged from behind a wall. Steve mined another block, covering himself with the flame-resistant block as he plunged his sword into the blaze and watched it fall to the floor in agony. The minute the blaze died, a dark red and brown cube jumped from a lava pool to the center of the staircase. Its eyes looked like flames, and for a second Steve was mesmerized. He had never seen a magma cube before, and the intensity of its eyes held Steve's attention. Of course, he knew that magma cube was hostile, and he had to defeat it. With a swift blow from his sword, the magma cube fell back and split in two. Steve jumped toward the multiple cubes and struck each one until they were killed. Magma cream oozed from the cube, and Steve ran to pick it up due to its value in the nether. With his eyes peeled for hostile mobs, Steve walked through the fortress in search of the rare diamonds. The rooms were empty. Another explorer must have been in the fortress before him and emptied it of its treasures. He could see blazes spawning in a room as Steve rushed from the fortress back into the wide open nether. He hoped to find another fortress to get diamonds. Steve could only see lava pool, ponds, and fires. It could take him days to find another fortress, and his food bar was getting very low. He couldn't continue searching in the nether. He had to make his way back to the overworld, where he could hunt for cows to fill his food bar. He also couldn't return to the portal he used to get back to the nether, because it would bring him back into the zombie attack. Steve had to make another portal, which meant he'd land in foreign land. This frightened Steve, but it was his only option. Steve constructed the frame using more of the obsidian from his bag. He set it on fire and leapt into the portal. He had no idea where he'd wind up when he stepped out. Steve missed his wheat farm and Snuggles' meows. He hoped that his home and his ocelot would still be there when he returned to the overworld. He secretly feared he'd never make his way back. As he transported between the two worlds, he closed his eyes and pretended he was in his old comfy wool bed. Alright guys, so that was chapter 3, and I hope that was suspenseful enough for you, because God, the suspense was killing me. I wonder what's going to happen next to Steve. Is he going to end up in a foreign land? Will he finally make it back home? Is he going to die a tragic, horrible death? Because we all know that when it comes to Minecraft, it doesn't matter. Isn't that right? Anyway, do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. If you would like to see some of your readers' critiques seen in the next video, please go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. There will be a showcase at the end of that for the reading critique for the previous chapter, which would be this one. Anyway, also, if you feel like your channel should be showcased, go ahead and leave your channel name and description in the comments, as well as why you would like to be featured. And again, do not forget to subscribe, because the $50 giveaway is still going on, and we're almost at 30. And you know what happens when we hit 50. By the way, if you had not seen the Claytors episode 4, go ahead and watch that. Some new fun stuff in there. I do a little remix, and Epic gets bitched out by his mother. And what's better than seeing a little boy get bitched out by his mom? That also confirms a 2nd and 3rd place prize, although I'm not telling you what it is yet. So you guys go ahead and have fun, and this has been Kills for Food, over and out.